Welcome back to the Unbiased Opinion, where everyone's opinion is biased, except ours. I'm Colin.
I'm Craig.
And I'm Daniel.
Yeah. So, in light of the Oscars happening a couple of weeks ago as of this recording, and that guy...
On time as always.
Yes. Austin Butler, who is best known as the background character in Ned's Declassified, he was nominated for Best Actor for his portrayal of Elvis in the movie Elvis.
Who character did he play?
He was just in the background.
Oh. I was like, no. Ahead.
So it inspired me to rewatch the other two movies based off of singers with terrible addictions, Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocketman. And I guess I should preface this by saying that I have no desire to see Elvis. I don't really care for Elvis. I don't care for Austin Butler. I heard Tom Hanks' portrayal as whatever that guy's name is, his manager, whatever, is embarrassing. It's laughable. So I have no desire to see that. Speaking of embarrassing and laughable, there's Bohemian Rhapsody that came out in 2018, and it was marred with so many controversies, most notably with Bryan Singer being attached to direct it.
Our favorite director.
Oh, Daniel's favorite director. He left production. Apparently he was a nightmare to work with. He would show up late and whatnot. He left production with like 2 weeks left of filming, and then Dexter Fletcher came on, who ended up directing Rocketman. He finished the last 2 weeks of filming for Bohemian Rhapsody.
Is that really the biggest problem working with him? Is it's just he's showing up late? I mean, not the other.
Well, no, I'm sure
extracurriculars.
there was. YouTube would censor us, but I'm sure he was doing some Bryan Singer
questionable things.
I don't even say it's questionable. But Bohemian Rhapsody came out in 2018, and everyone seemed to love this movie, and it grossed almost $1 billion somehow. It won. Rami Malek won Best Actor. It won Best Editing somehow. I don't even know how that happened. That's just crazy. And I, for one, hate this movie. I do not like it at all. I think it's a piece of garbage. I don't know what else to say.
Are you secretly just a huge Elton John fan, Colin? You just hate...
No, I think it's just a horrible, horrible movie. You guys can... What do you guys think of Bohemian Rhapsody?
So I'm going to preface this by saying I hate biographical movies because I feel like they're a waste of time watching them. You watch it thinking this is how the person's life went, and you like check Wikipedia and like, oh, none of this actually happened. This actually didn't happen like this way, didn't happen that way. This was a huge exaggeration. This was the wrong order of events. I hate watching these kinds of movies because it's like, well, this is a waste of my time because none of this was right. As stupid as that may sound, I feel like just a waste of 2 hours or 4 hours if you count both movies. So thank you for wasting more of my time.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's every week.
Thank you, Colin. Yeah, I was bored watching this, and I was kind of indifferent to it. Like obviously I know, the Queen's famous songs, but I never really cared for like the band itself. So watching it, I kind of was just like bored.
I'm be honest, I didn't know there was a band. I thought it was just him.
Jeez.
No, I mean, like I always like I knew about the band, but I don't know, like Rami Malek's. It was just I guess him, the way he was acting, his acting style doesn't fit. To me, it didn't fit. Like it almost didn't seem like he was able to like properly portray like Freddie Mercury's like flamboyant style and eccentric kind of persona. Like it came off like weird.
Yeah.
Maybe that. I don't know. It was. I guess in comparing it, not comparing the whole movie, but in terms of just individual performance, like Taron Egerton did a.
Well, let's just stick to Bohemian Rhapsody for now. Don't even mention the other one.
But yeah, I don't know. Rami Malek's performance as Freddie Mercury, like you needed someone that like was kind of that could naturally, I guess, be eccentric, and it just came off like kind of forced for him. It didn't like he wasn't able to, I guess, to me, portray it that way. It just kind of came off creepy and weird.
I'd go as far as to say that he did not deserve the Oscar at all. I think his performance was borderline just him mimicking. It was not him playing a character, it was him. It felt like a Hollywood Boulevard impersonator, honestly. He seemed hyper focused on getting the choreography right and like matching and looking the part. He certainly looks the part. I don't think I
Yeah,
take that away. But he seemed
especially
more
the early,
focused on the fake dentures he had in his mouth. And it's like, well, Freddie Mercury had a weird, disgusting mouth, but that wasn't him. That wasn't all him. And I just felt like the movie was just trying to get the look of Queen, but they didn't add anything to that. They lacked soul and they lacked perspective of doing that. Everyone looked the part. Like the guy who played Brian May with the wig, he looked exactly like a young Brian May. The movie's well casted, don't get me wrong, but
I thought the bands, like the bandmates, were the best part of the movie.
oh, did you guys know that the guy who played John Deacon was the kid from Jurassic Park? He was Tim. Did you guys know
Really?
that? Yeah.
I wouldn't have known.
But yeah, Rami Malek's a good actor, don't get me wrong, but it was just borderline creepy, his performance as Freddie Mercury. It was not deserving of the Oscar, and I know the Academy loves when there's biopics and they love when actors play dead people.
It's funny because I feel like they're the worst kinds of movies because you get nothing like you were saying, like he was just imitating. I thought that was part of the problem with the movie too. Like it really wasn't a movie; it was just about his life. Like it was more like a documentary almost.
And everyone talks about how great the Live Aid sequence was, and I disagree entirely. If I wanted to see the Live Aid sequence, I would watch the Live Aid sequence on YouTube, the real thing that happened. Not with this movie, like, oh, isn't it cool that they kind of synced it up? Well, no, I don't care for that. Like, it's like that part. You want the story to be about Freddie Mercury. I know the people of Queen who are still alive, Brian May and Roger Taylor. They want it to be about Queen. No one cares about them. They're not what made Queen famous. No one cares about them. It's the truth. Everyone cares about Freddie Mercury, and I think the reason why the movie did so well, well financially, was because of Freddie Mercury. And it seemed like these awards the movie won was for Freddie Mercury. It wasn't for Rami Malek, if that makes any sense.
No, it does. I mean, I feel like that's that's when people like win these awards. If they portray like a dead person, it's like, well, I guess that's they honor the memory of the guy, not the work they actually did acting. It's like, well, we felt good thinking about that guy again.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, if you go on IMDb, this movie has a 7.9 out of 10 on IMDb, which is insane. That is such a high rating, and I guarantee you, if you look under the user reviews, they just talk about how much they loved Queen as a kid. And that's all they'll talk about. They won't talk about how terrible the movie is edited, how it's shot poorly. The acting is very hit or miss, actually, surprisingly. They won't talk about any of that. They'll just talk about how much they love Queen. And again,
it's funny you mentioned that because the first time I saw it was with somebody who actually wanted to watch the movie because they loved Queen growing up.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, because I was like, I wouldn't watch this on my own, ever.
Trying to hide your Freddie Mercury PJs.
So I guess
my wife beater.
Well, there's two things. Let's talk about editing real quick, and then we'll talk about Freddie Mercury in the movie. Good editing, as everyone says, is something you don't notice, but you will always notice bad editing. And there's the one scene where John Reid meets the band outside in London, and that scene was so jarring the way it was edited. It had like someone on YouTube actually made a video about how many cuts there were, and there was like 200 cuts in 2 minutes or something crazy like that. It was edited like an action movie. There's so many cuts, and it's so jarring. It takes you out of it. You will always notice bad editing, but you'll never notice good editing.
Well, it's like any part of the movie.
How this won an Oscar for Best Editing is beyond me. That, if you ever have any doubt in life, to anyone listening, you can do anything because Bohemian Rhapsody won an Oscar for Best Editing. Anything is possible.
To be annoying, Maybe it did get best editing because everything else was just so much worse. Maybe it did deserve
Craig, no.
it. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I
I'll
don't know
say
if you
one thing
guys
that
noticed
kind of
that scene too. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Craig.
no, I didn't really. I mean, these kinds of movies, like I know I'm not gonna like it, so I'm not fully paying attention. Like I probably missed the million cuts because like whatever, just get on with it.
Yeah, it was so bad.
I also say the one thing that I did like was seeing whoever Mike Myers was playing because I
Oh
was like,
no,
oh, it's Mike
I
Myers.
hated that scene
Wait,
so
wait,
much.
let me finish.
Okay,
Because
okay.
like, oh, it's Mike Myers. I like Shrek. That's the only reason why I like that scene.
Oh. Well, let me talk about why I hate that scene. Because it had the cringy line where he said like no one's gonna be head
Oh, it was
bopping
on
the
the
queen.
nose.
And
Yeah, it was on the.
I guarantee you, if you go on IMDb trivia for this movie, it'll say something stupid and cringy like Mike Myers plays this character who says this line, but he really, in Wayne's World, he head bopped a queen in a car. Like I can imagine the screenwriter's like, "Oh, this is so clever." Like, no, it's actually cringy. It made my like me just ugh. Stop. Like I hate
I've
that.
never seen Wayne's World, so I
Yeah.
wouldn't have gotten
Well,
that.
it's that famous scene where they're all head bopping a queen in the car.
I've never seen that
Oh,
scene.
well,
And it was to Bohemian Rhapsody.
yeah, it was the Bohemian Rhapsody.
Especially, it was the guitar solo, I believe, right?
Yeah, but just hearing that, I was like, "Oh my god, oh
Yeah.
my god."
Well, and that dialogue annoyed me because it was like, all right, one line of him saying, "All right, you guys are never going to make it." Get the cliche out of the way, but then he's like, he goes on like, "You'll never have a gold record. No one will know who Queen is if you walk out of the store." It was like so over the top and on the nose. It's like, okay, first off, there's no spoiler alert. It's a biopic film. Like to Craig's point, it's like you already kind of know what's going to happen, so it's like there isn't like tension like in him saying these lines. Like you don't have to beat the audience over the head with it. Like, oh, they're going to prove him wrong. It's like, well, you kind of know they did prove him wrong. And Bohemian Rhapsody is their most famous song. Like, there's no.
Okay, those are the things I kind of hate those scenes because I wonder how many times like they would say that to like an aspiring artist, like you're never gonna make it in this industry, and they're probably right.
Yeah, it's like only what like you'd have to do the percentage, like what maybe like at most 5%. Like that's being generous. 5% make it, like, and then to get to that level, like, so yeah, he's not really wrong in saying that, and especially if he had worked with, he said Jimi Hendrix, and he also worked with Elton John, Collins boy.
I don't know why I keep saying that.
You're the one us to watch these movies, or
Yeah.
I think you wanted us to watch it more because you hated Bohemian Rhapsody.
That is true. I did want to talk about this movie for a while.
but um so I was like, I mean, the guy does know talent if he's worked with so and so. But they that dialogue, they just didn't have to beat it over the head.
Yes, it was so bad.
Well, Colin, did you like the? I don't like your name, John Beach. We're gonna call you Miami.
Ugh, I don't remember that. I think my mind repressed that.
Miami Crew.
I think
I was gonna say it, I knew
the
it.
other part of the movie I hated was when they're like, I think it was Roger and Brian are like getting each other's faces, and then John Deacon was on the bass and he was doing the strums for like Another One Bites the Dust, and then they're like, "Hey, I kind of like that." It's like, oh my god, like I doubt that's how it was actually written, the song.
You just checked the Wikipedia first to see how wrong it was.
And
Well,
the other,
that was the thing
oh yeah, you go,
on the
Daniel.
Wikipedia. Like, because Craig just mentioned that there's a whole section, if you look at the Wikipedia, on historical accuracy and
This
how
movie.
like so many different things were not that accurate. It was a lot of it was so like dramatized and exaggerated.
Well, like that's why I hate watching these movies because I feel like it's just a waste of my time. It's like,
Well,
well, okay,
the
none
other
of this
part,
really happened. I got to erase it from my memory to like really relearn what happened.
the other part that made me cringe also really bad was the "We Will Rock You" part 2, where it's like the movie treats it as like they're discovering like a new element when they're writing a song. They treat it like it's such a fantastical
I
thing,
discovered fire.
like it's a breakthrough. He's like, "Yeah, you come here, you stomp, and then we clap." I was like, "Oh my god, this is so bad." Like, this movie made my skin crawl. It's so on the nose and so cringy and so obvious. It's just ugh.
But I like Queen's music, so I wouldn't say it's good.
Yeah. I like Freddie Mercury's music.
And mustache.
Two thumbs up.
Yeah, 'cause I see it made like almost $910 million at the box office. I didn't realize how well it did.
That's why I think it won so many awards in the Oscar. If it was a bomb, then no one would care.
Also, to your point, like I guess Hollywood likes these kinds of movies.
So speaking on Daniel talking about the list of inaccuracies on the Wikipedia page of Bohemian Rhapsody, let's talk about how they treated Freddie Mercury. Because for a movie that is mostly about him, they downplay his, like, I guess you could say inner demons and who he really was. They downplayed a lot.
Yeah,
Which
it
is
was more of like
disrespectful in a way, especially if you're trying to honor this man and the life he lived and however he lived it. You don't talk you like very little talk about his homosexuality and whatnot, which was a big part of him that he kept secret, and that just felt really disrespectful, especially if you're trying to label this movie as a biography. Like, this movie tries to be like, oh, this is the ultimate story of Queen, and they get so many stuff wrong. It's disrespectful, honestly, how they treated, like how they went about Freddie Mercury's character in this movie.
I don't know anything about him, so I'm just gonna take your word for it.
Well, they 100% downplayed him being gay. They 100% downplayed it. And that was obviously like strategy on their part because they wanted to get the PG-13 rating so they can make lots of money. They did it on purpose.
Oh, probably. I mean, again, I just don't know much about his details about his personal life and stuff. I mean, these are things like where these people like look and like act pretty, flamboyant. It's like, don't they kind of have a hint that he's gay? But
Well, the thing is too in the '80s. Well, I mean, this was in the '70s, but also carrying into the '80s. A lot of those rock stars, they were like flamboyant. Like if you looked at like David Bowie,
Yeah.
some of the stuff he wore, you would,
I don't know.
Did you ever see Labyrinth? He was wearing like
No.
skin tight pants in front of a kid.
Oh my god.
Did Bryan Singer direct that?
No,
But,
Jim Henson did.
Oh no. Or we're gonna cancel him like 30 years after he died.
Yeah. Well, because that was a weird transition because it was and it was what in '76. Like they have the scene of he comes back from tour, he's talking to I forget the girl's name.
Mary Austin
Mary.
or something.
Yeah. And he, he makes the declaration like I think I'm bisexual, and then she goes, "No, you're gay." And then the thing is like so they have this like emotional scene of like, her like having to, she's like, like I felt like I knew, but I was in denial. Yeah. And then it's like they cut to 4 years forward to 1980, where he's now in this mansion by himself, and like he turns around and the drummer was there with him, and he's like, "Oh, how does it look?" And it's like he turns around, it's his new look, the short hair and the Village People mustache, and he's like, "Oh, it looks gayer," and he's like, "Oh no, not that." It was like it was just like weird, like you're like to your point, it was just like they just had this emotional scene and it just cuts 4 years forward, and it's like, oh, he's in a mansion now, and she lives next door.
I think another problem that the movie had was they completely butchered the whole like AIDS thing. I think they want for dramatic effect because I remember I read about this. They wanted to have it where Freddie admits to the band that he has AIDS before Live Aid, but I think he didn't tell the band until like 1988 or 89. It's like way after Live Aid happened. So it's like they're just making things up for no reason. Like again, if you're trying to label
point.
Yeah, if you're trying to label yourself as a biography like this movie, then why are you getting all that stuff wrong? Stuff that's really important. That's not like some trivial thing like, oh, he stubbed his toe in this. No, the man had AIDS. Like,
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah.
I was that he's wearing like the wrong
Well,
shirt and
that
like
was the thing
purple.
too. Like, especially because I didn't like coming into this. I didn't see any. I obviously had seen like the trailers on TV for it, but I like didn't read into it or anything. I never. So like I was expecting it was going to be, especially when we also watched Rocketman. It was going to be straight biopics on both. But this one like felt like it was just like we had mentioned. This was just like really just about Queen. Like it was just weird. Like I was like, all right, it was about the band, but obviously it was just what the critics were like. Oh, I love Queen. Okay, here's money.
Colin said 2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
oh, so here it says Mercury was diagnosed with HIV in 1987, 2 years after Live Aid. Taylor said that the other band members were not made aware of this condition until early 1989.
And
So they
what year
just
did he
completely
die?
got that wrong. What'd you say, Daniel?
And what year did he die? He died in 91.
91.
Yeah, so not long before he died.
Yeah,
That's
just
tough
like
scene.
that kind of stuff you can't get wrong, especially regarding to what he had, and it obviously ended up killing him. You can't get that wrong. That timeline.
Well, you can because it's not about accuracy.
Well, the problem is this movie labels it that it's trying to be accurate, and it's completely not. Like, I mean, we're going to talk about Rockman in a little bit, but I'll save my comments when we talk about Rocketman. But I really don't have much else to say about this movie. I hate it. I think it's a piece of garbage.
Into the trash it goes.
Yeah, I really hate it.
Jeez, I was shocked he hated this, especially after how much he loved Rami Malek in James Bond.
It's just not true.
I'm just surprised you have so much. Like to me, I'm just so indifferent. Like I know I don't like these kinds of because I know I don't like these kinds of movies. So like I was not pretending that was gonna get like my
I
mind
think
changed.
why I hate it so much is, I mean, it makes you look like a contrarian, but I know so many people love it. But like we talked about, they love it because of Queen. They don't like the movie per se. They like it that the movie is like a highlight reel of Queen songs.
You play their favorite songs.
It's essentially like most Disney movies now. They win on the nostalgic factor rather than the actual,
Yeah, the
quality
movie
of
is
the
so
movie.
poorly made. It is so like disrespectful to who Freddie Mercury was as a person. It's just a mess. It is bad.
I don't know, Craig. It sounds like Colin might have really loved Freddie Mercury, and he's mad that they're besmirching his name.
Okay.
Yeah, try to his number one fan defending him even when he's in the grave.
I just I didn't hate the movie as much like you did because I was just more indifferent to it.
Yeah, I don't like it. So we want to talk about Rocket Man?
Not really.
Oh, well, I for one, I actually really liked Rocket Man. One could say I loved it, and I think the biggest difference that this movie did than what Bohemian Rhapsody did was this movie is a musical fantasy, so it's not treating itself like it's a year by year life, like accounting of life of Elton John. It is a fantasy, and that works to the movie's benefit because Elton John did a lot of weird things in his life. He was high on cocaine most of the time. He probably doesn't even remember what his life was half the time. And this movie perfectly captured all of that. It was respectful to Elton John's life, and of course he had a say in the movie because he's still alive. And I absolutely loved it. I thought Taron Egerton did a great job of acting. He wasn't trying to capture all the mannerisms of Elton John. He was being a character too, doing his own thing. And I thought it was really well done.
Yeah. Well, that's the main difference I was gonna say between this and Bohemian Rhapsody. Again, for I was indifferent watching it. Um, Elton John songs. I've I listened to his popular ones. I know, and they're he's a very talented musician. Um, But coming into this, I really didn't care to see a movie on his life. But having said that, and watching the other one, Taron Egerton definitely he should have won easily over Rami Malek, especially on the musical side alone. That he actually sang and performed the songs.
Oh, he did?
I was
That's
yeah
all.
that
It's all
was
it's singing.
that was him singing, and he sounded good enough passes Elton John, but it was his singing. So for a biopic movie on a musician, I give him way more credit on following through. And like you're saying, Colin, like he actually, I wasn't uncomfortable watching him portray Elton John. He felt like an actual character. Um, so, and the movie creatively is much better. Like you're saying, like how the one, and I know I'd mentioned it to you earlier, Colin, where the one thing I did, I'll give the movie props on, was the transitions to the different points in his life, where there was the creative element where they would they would use one of Elton John's songs, particularly from the time the song was picked to correlate in that specific moment or struggle he was going through, and then they would do the whole song and dance, and then it was right into another point in his life. So I thought that was a very creative way of moving the story along and keeping it going, and utilizing his music, not just them reenacting them at a concert venue like Queen.
Yeah, that is the benefit of doing a musical fantasy than rather whatever Bohemian Rhapsody was, is that you can have these songs and you can visually tell a story within the song and then transition that from to another scene. Like, no one cares that he didn't write Saturday Night's All Right as a kid, but that sequence of him as a kid playing in the bar and then transition to him as an adult, that sequence was great. Absolutely great. I think that's the best part of the movie, was that whole sequence with that song.
Yeah.
It's just like the movie doesn't care too much on the exact details. It more tries to get the theme of that all Elton really wanted in his life was to be loved, because he had like a neglectful father.
Which apparently wasn't true.
Yes, that is disrespectful to his real dad. And his mom was kind of, I guess you could say, aloof. I don't know. She cared more about the stepdad or whatever. And he was in that terrible thing with John Reed. The movie perfectly encapsulates that.
Well, because it's telling the story of how he got to where he was in the. So that drama, that kind of realtering in the service of it's trying to give the audience a perspective of how he got to the drug addiction and where he was. That can be fine because it actually serves like a point, like in terms of like twisting it. Where like Bohemian Rhapsody, there wasn't really any point to them like altering anything because it was really just recapping how Queen got to where they were. It wasn't about like a personal struggle or a personal perspective on a character.
Yeah, like this movie did not shy away from showing him and at his height of his addiction fuel nightmares or whatever.
Yeah.
Like him, the whole what's it called? What's that song? Ah, God, it's when he's in that like chicken suit, Pinball Wizard, and then like as the song progresses, it's getting blurrier and blurrier because he's just getting more high. And he's like high through all these concert performances. It's like, that's great. It's visually it's telling a story in the song too, and that's really great. Visual storytelling, everybody. It's more nuanced than whatever Bohemian Rhapsody was.
Yeah. And you got to give Taron Egerton some props that they stuck with the hairline.
Yeah, that's rough. That's pretty rough.
But this one actually felt like obviously also Elton John wasn't he was the band, but Queen had its band members, but again,
But Elton John had a band.
I'm sure he had like people playing the other instruments, but it was mainly him and Bernie, because Bernie and him would write the songs and then Elton would perform.
Yeah, just to make sure I wasn't missing something because I thought he was just like the perform. Obviously, people perform, but like he was like there wasn't like a band like contributing, it was just him.
That was him.
Well,
It was just him and
it
Bernie.
originally was the Elton John band,
Oh, like in
but
the
it was his
beginning.
name. It was his name. Yeah. So it was always about him, um, but it actually felt like a biopic piece on him, not that, but um, yeah,
Yeah, like I said, the movie doesn't concern itself too much with the exact details of his life because again, like no one cares that like he was not sober when he did I'm Still Standing. Like the movie ending on that high note with that was great. Even they went as far as digitally removing Elton John from that music video and then putting in Taryn.
yeah,
I didn't know that when I first watched it. I never saw the music video to that song, so I was like, oh, that's neat.
yeah. And it does help that Taryn was fully committed, in the musical aspect. I give him props for that because he can
Hairline and
actually
all.
sing. Well, I mean, yes, but but also that he was actually able to sing and perform like that. I'll give him props.
Yeah,
So, but
definitely felt more than acting. It wasn't. He wasn't just trying to mimic Elton John. I mean, yes, he mimicked his
He wasn't acting
appearance.
with that hairline.
Yeah, that was all real. Unfortunately for him, I hope that didn't like permanently ruin anything on his head. But
Yeah,
it
don't
felt,
worry, they got the money to fix it.
yeah, but it felt respectful too.
yeah,
Like they got all the beats to Elton John's life right, and obviously it helps having the guy it's based off of still be alive and help it. But it just like it felt like Queen's intentions and Bohemian Rhapsody's intentions felt exploitative, I guess you could say. They're banking on the using Freddie Mercury's appearance because it just seems like the surviving members of Queen are just scumbags and are still trying to profit off of Freddie Mercury. This movie definitely felt more sincere and genuine.
yeah. Like
Like
it was trying to actually tell a story.
yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody felt
It was
like
just like this
sinister.
exact. It was a drama. It was a dramatized recap.
Yeah. Craig, got anything to say about Rocket Man?
I didn't like it.
Oh,
Same reason I didn't like Bohemian Rhapsody. It's like you watch this and it's like, well, I basically have to flush the last 2 hours out of my brain because
well,
none of this
Rocket
really
Man isn't
happens.
trying to be a biography though.
Yes, it is.
Well, it's like we're not listening to what we were saying. It's a musical fantasy, and
I know it's stylized, but it's still about his life.
but it's not trying to be as detailed as possible. Like it never sold itself as the untold story,
I
like
mean, I don't know
Bohemian
what it was trying to
Rhapsody.
sell it as, but it was about his life and it wasn't accurate, so that's a big no-no for me.
Everyone's a critic.
Well, like I said, like most of these movies, it's like I feel like it's just a waste. Like, I mean, it's I guess it's not as bad as the other one, but like again, I think I don't know. I'm not gonna bend on this. These kinds of movies shouldn't exist.
Oh, jeez. I mean, I think I partially agree. Definitely for like covering people's lives. There's documentary is good for that.
Because you don't have to worry about like telling a story or like because that's the thing. Like, I mean, this one I guess told a better story, but like I don't care that he's trying to overcome I guess loneliness and stuff. It's like he's being self-destructive. I think these people do it to themselves most of the time. And also too, like the stuff exaggerated. Like who knows? What was he doing to push people away? What was he doing to cause all the problems
Oh
besides the
yeah.
drugs and
Oh yeah.
stuff?
Obviously. Apparently, when he attempted suicide, he like put himself in an oven. It's like trying to kill himself.
Yeah. See again, like
Like what? That really
I
happened.
mean, well, I'm saying that that's like a cry for it. It's like clearly a cry for attention. If you're gonna kill yourself, you gotta put a little more effort into it.
Oh
You got the
jeez.
money to do it too.
Oh jeez. One part that did make me chuckle in the movie was when he went to the diving board and he's like, "For my next trick, I'm gonna kill myself." He just like falls in. Like obviously that's not played for laughs, but I got the sick person in me got a chuckle out of me.
I guess it got a little shock out of me too. Because like the
Anyway,
Whisper Twist, I think no one like stood there and tried to help him. I think they just like let him almost drown.
anyway,
I guess I could say one positive.
Yes, go for it.
His friend Bernie, who stuck with him.
Yes.
What a real bro.
Played by Jamie Bell, who was in King Kong and in Fantastic Four.
So I was gonna say, has that guy aged?
Yeah, Fan Forstick. He was the Thing.
Oh no, it's clobbering time.
Yeah, he looks the same as he did in King Kong, and these movies are released like 14 years apart.
I was like, that dude didn't age.
Good for him.
Is he on the TB12 method?
Oh, he might be. That also means lots of steroids and not eating cocaine. Or not cocaine, strawberries. Oh my god.
and don't forget your avocado ice cream.
Yeah, can't forget that. You just gotta stretch a lot. Then you can look like Tom when you're 45.
And drink your body weight in water.
And be on a loaded team. But anyway.
I don't think we have much else to say. I mean, I don't think you guys knew this, but the song that played at the end of the movie won the Oscar for Best Original Song. But the Academy did not recognize Taron Egerton in the song because it's sung by Elton and Taron. And Taron did not win an Oscar for that. Elton John and Bernie won it, which is shameful. Taron should have won that Oscar too.
Why couldn't they just give it? Like, why are they trying to like screw him?
I don't know. I'm sure the Academy has these weird rules. You know, it's the Academy. They're terrible. They're terrible people. But I don't know. They just didn't recognize Taron Egerton in the song, I guess. Which I don't know how. He performs half the song. I mean...
I think that's like the first, like, half of the song. Oh, I really like that song. It's like, oh, did you like my part? What part?
But I guess to put it succinctly, I recommend Rocketman. I do not recommend Bohemian Rhapsody. If you know anyone that likes Bohemian Rhapsody, it's okay to publicly shame them. It's okay.
I'll be sure to tell the person I saw that with about that. I'll send them a review. They'll probably really not like you anymore, Colin.
It's okay.
I don't recommend either.
Oh.
However, if you are going to watch both, Rocketman is better, but that still doesn't mean I enjoyed either.
And I know,
obviously, I didn't like either one. I think both were a waste of my time and a waste of everyone's time.
Oh, jeez. Well, at least we're not going to watch Elvis. Craig's definitely not going to watch that.
No. Now we're going to make you watch Elvis, Colin, out of spite.
I want to watch that.
Do the crazy legs, and you can watch your Tom Hanks.
Yeah, him as whatever the Parker guy. Heard it was embarrassing.
I want to see the army arc.
Oh God, I'm sure the movie treated that with respect and class.